So today we're going to be penciling these pages, or at least one of these pages, from the set of comic pages that I kind of walked you guys through initially with the thumbnails. And I'm going to be doing something unusual today. I want to do a spot color treatment with this. So I'm actually going to be penciling with a very dark blue pencil. And this is going to sort of create an undercolor. And then I'm going to apply my spot color, and then I'm going to ink it. So I'm using a dark blue Pilot Color Eno pencil, and I've got an assortment of erasers just kind of around me. And I also have here a sheet of tracing paper to use as just sort of a cover sheet or a page protector. I'm also going to grab I would grab a ruler, and I should grab a ruler, but it seems that I have brought all of my rulers downstairs and packed them away with my class materials for tonight. So before I can go too much further, I'm going to have to get a straight edge of some sort. So I have here a blast from the past. It's my dad's really old Alvin engineering ruler, and I don't normally use this, but I do like having it since my dad has passed away, and it's nice to have tools that he used that I can use in my line of work as well. It's just a nice connection. So, all right, Dad, I guess this one's for you. My point today is to kind of tighten everything up, but I don't want to do a whole lot of redrawing or refiguring things, just because this blue, it erases, but it ghosts a little bit. Now that's faint enough that if I erase it, I can drop it when I drop these blue lines here in Photoshop. So it shouldn't be too big a deal, but I still kind of want to be careful. So mostly what I'm doing today is I'm just tightening up my illustration so I can add my spot color, and then I can ink on top of it. So it's really not complicated. Now, normally when I do pencils, it's with the intention of erasing my pencils after I've inked or basically tightened up what I'm doing. The pencils is just a stage generally that I use to just make final tweaks, final corrections before I put down my more permanent media like inks. When I pencil my watercolor pages, like for 7-inch Cara though, I will watercolor on top of those pencils. So those are sort of my final tightening of my drawing stage. This is something very close to me doing pencils for watercolor, in that I'm going to keep this blue stage, but I am going to ink over it. And I find that I've done this before with red, with a cooking comic I was pitching, and I really liked the sort of end result sketchiness underneath. You could see more of the hand of the artist, and it looked more authentic, like someone drew it, which for me is a big deal. I sometimes feel like digital art can get kind of sterile. So maintaining that like physical connection with my art is important to me, even if I am doing digital stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and skip down here to this panel and go ahead and correct this since her head breaks the borders. And I bordered this off camera, and I have tutorials where I demonstrate how to do panel borders in a comic. So if you're interested in seeing how to do panel borders, you can check one of those videos out. I also have here my initial character design, so I can reference this as I'm tightening up my pencils. So at this stage, we're really only making slight changes. We don't really want to be figuring out too much about the background. We don't really need to be figuring out too much about the anatomy. You should have either figured that out in your rough stage or you should have figured it out in your thumbnail stage. Now, some people do a lot of reworking in their pencil stage. And, you know, if that is something that works for you, that's great. Personally, I find my pages tend to get too messy, then they get difficult to read for me as the artist who's going to be inking and penciling them. So I prefer to keep everything neat, and I prefer to do my figuring out, my construction, my perspective in the rough stage. Now, on this project, we skipped the rough stage entirely. I wanted to practice going straight from thumbnail straight to my final stages. And there is a panel towards the end. I'm not going to do it on camera, but I'm going to show you guys where I'm going to have, maybe I will do it on camera, where there's going to be a lot of redrawing, a lot of redoing the perspective, redoing the anatomy rather, this panel here. See, because I resized this panel and rather than resketching it digitally, I just decided that I would do it as I penciled. So I'm going to have to work really, really light with that. Otherwise, as you guys can maybe kind of see, the pencil lead does kind of stain the page, and that's just natural when using color pencils. That's one of the downsides. That's why we use the really light colors like pink or like non-photo blue. This blue is really to give us an effect. So here is our finished penciled page. Well, when I say finished, I say it with kind of air quotes. I also might want to create a table edge here, just so the computer doesn't just drift off into space. But otherwise, this is the pencils for this page. Not overly complicated. I did correct some things. I corrected the heck out of the perspective on the drafting table. That was something that I'd kind of freehanded. And since this is just sort of a light, fun little project, I'm not super concerned about worrying about perspective. And I also did some minor corrections on her face over here, and I changed the shape of her face up here. I also squared things off on the computer just a little bit more. So nothing too major. It's not like I'm redrawing the heck out of something, but enough that, you know, it's looking a little bit more finished. So I have 4 more pages that I need. Actually, that goes at the bottom of the stack, but I have 4 more pages that I need to pencil. And then I can do a tutorial on applying spot color. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time with our next Making Comics and Zines tutorial. If you're looking for more comic tutorials, stick around, consider subscribing. I have loads of drawing and comic tutorials here on my channel. If you want even more, head on over to nattosoup.blogspot.com and check out my Intro to Comic Craft series. I have amazing step-by-step comic planning, comic drawing, comic creation tutorials for you guys over there as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully I see you again really soon. Bye guys!